Two great drivers, both with the same goal.
Nigel Mansell, the Lion, the reigning IndyCar champion, best in the world.
Michael Andretti, a former champion, a man with a mission. 3 years ago, it was Michael's turn to hoist the Champions Cup. But a year later, Michael struggled. Little went well. And then last year, he tried to carry America's
colors in Formula One. It was a series of
disappointments. This year, Michael's returned to the IndyCars. 2 weeks ago, in Surfers Paradise, Australia,
Michael faced the Lion for the first time.
Nigel moved early. But Michael drove deeper, seeking to prove that he planned to regain his tarnished reputation. Now it was Nigel Mansell's turn to taste the bitter frustration of the chase. He spun not once, but several times. While Nigel could do little, Michael could do no wrong, giving his brand new Reynard a win in its first outing and a much-needed boost to his ego. But it's a longer season, and the two will face off again and again. Today, it's the second race of the PPG IndyCar World Series at the Mile in the Desert, Phoenix International Raceway. It was here in practice last year that Nigel first tasted the wall, was hospitalized, and missed the race. Paul Tracy led 151 laps and then crashed. His Penske teammate, Emerson Fittipaldi, took over the lead, and then the wall. The final 29 laps went to Mario Andretti, his first win in 5 years. But it's a new day, and Michael and Nigel and 26 others are ready to play in the desert sand. Welcome to the Valley of the Sun for the Slick 5200 for the IndyCars. It's a beautiful day in Arizona, and we're ready to go racing. Hello and welcome. I'm Paul Page. This track is what they call a bull ring. 1 mile, very flat, very narrow, and rimmed with concrete. It can be tough on the drivers. Take the final practice session yesterday. Nigel Mansell on the right of your screen. He simply spun the car, collected Jacques Villeneuve. Both cars heavily damaged. Now take a look out the back of Nigel's car. The same incident. Villeneuve closes. And is trapped against the wall. Both the crews with a lot of work to do on those cars. A fascinating front row here. Let's meet that front row now with Gary Gerould.
Paul, there was a lot of drama to get to the front row, and it involved two young Canadian rising stars. Paul Tracy, driving for Team Penske, age 25, no stranger here. He's been in the front row many times in the past. The real surprise, however, is next to him by just 0.02 of a second. Villeneuve is here, and he has had the elation of a 23rd birthday just yesterday, starting in the front row in only his second IndyCar race, then that crash. Crew worked till 1:30 this morning. They've made the repairs. Will the car work in traffic? That's the question now. As for Mansell, let's go to row 2 and Jan Beekes.
Well, Gary, Villeneuve's car was able to be repaired, but here Nigel Mansell sits in the spare car. He does not have very many laps behind the wheel of this, and there's very much anticipated action here by the Newman Haas crew. How will this car perform when it gets out on the track for the first time for Mansell? We expected to see a Mansell-Andretti battle, and we have one, but not like in Australia. It's not Michael, it's Mario Andretti, the elder statesman and teammate to Mansell. Where is Michael Andretti? After handling problems yesterday, behind us, 4 rows.
Well, Jan Beekes, all of the drivers here face the same challenge. It requires incredible suspension tuning in order to run fast here, Derek.
That's right. Whenever you have 150-mile-an-hour corners, you really need to have exceptionally good handling. But one of the rule changes for this year stipulates the use of a much smaller rear wing.
So the smaller wing, that means less downforce, right?
As much as 15 or even 20% less downforce. Now, less downforce means less grip. Less grip is why a lot of these cars have been very loose, as evidenced by Mansell's problem yesterday.
So if the back end is kicking out on all of them, that's got to be tough on the driver.
Exactly. Can you imagine at speeds of 190 miles an hour racing between the concrete walls with a loose condition that's potentially very dangerous? That is a reality, and it is a problem they will have to deal with very well this afternoon.
Well, the drivers, as you saw, have already moved to the cockpits of their cars, and we're very close to a start here. 28 Indy cars are ready at Phoenix. From Phoenix, Arizona, the Slick 5200 for the IndyCars is brought to you by American Honda, proudly celebrating Honda's first season of IndyCar racing. By Haviland 3 Motor Oil, add more life to your car. And by your local Yamaha dealer, who invites you to see their exciting line of motorcycles, ATVs, and snowmobiles. As we move toward the start of the engines, let's take a look at the starting grid. On the pole with a new track record is Paul Tracy. He led 151 laps here last year. This is his first oval pole. Alongside is French-Canadian Jacques Villeneuve. He turned his lap at 20.442, 18 thousandths of a second behind Paul Tracy's run. In row 2, it's Nigel Mansell making his first ever start at Phoenix, and Mario Andretti, the defending champion, making his 42nd and final PIR start. In row 3, Raul Boesel, he finished second here last year. And Emerson Fittipaldi, coming off a strong second-place finish in Australia. Row 4, Robbie Gordon, his best ever start on a 1-mile oval. And Teo Fabi, who won here in 1983. The 5th row, Al Unser Jr., looking for his second career win on a mile oval. And Scott Goodyear, last year's pole winner. In row 6, it's Jimmy Vasser, who finished an impressive 3rd here last year. And Michael Andretti, the 86 Phoenix winner. In row 7, Scott Sharp, who makes his 3rd IndyCar start. And his teammate, Dominic Dobson, starts alongside. The 8th row, Stefan Johansson, a 7th place at Nazareth, is his best finish on a mile oval. And Adrian Fernandez, starting his 7th IndyCar event. In the 9th row, it's Davy Jones driving his first full season for A.J. Foyt. And Marco Greco, the Brazilian, makes his 2nd Phoenix start. In row 10, Ari Leyendyk, the nearby Scottsdale resident, is a former winner here. And Mike Groff, the 89 Indy Lights winner at Phoenix. In the 11th row, Hiro Matsushita, a former motocross racer, making his 53rd IndyCar start. And Bobby Rahal, a 2-time former winner here. Row 12, John Paul Jr., winner of the 83 Michigan 500. And Willie T. Ribbs making his first start at Phoenix. Row 13, Buddy Lazier, the son of the 1981 IndyCar Rookie of the Year. And Brian Till, the former Skip Barber driving school instructor. In row 14, Jeff Andretti making his first start other than Indy since 1991. And Mauricio Gugelmin coming off a strong 6th place finish in Australia. Large entry of cars here of those who did not qualify. David Kudrave and Johnny Unser. Mark Smith was in an accident. They kept him overnight in the hospital, but he was withdrawn as a result of that accident. Now, a very special spectator and race fan here today. He's with Gary.
Indeed. You never know who you'll find at an IndyCar race. Here's George Harrison of the Beatles. I know you're a great race fan for many years and a special interest in Emerson Fittipaldi today.
Yeah, hi, Gary. Yeah, I like Emerson. He's been an old friend of mine for 20 years or so. And it's the first time I've seen an oval race, so it's quite interesting.
I think you're going to really enjoy it. Hang on to your hat.
Okay. Right. See you there.
George Harrison seeing his first oval race. We're ready for that great command. Let's go to the front row of the starting grid.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Here we go. The engines come to life. Let's set the field for you.
Checking now up and down the line as the pole sitter Paul Tracy looks ahead, contemplating the start. There are 5 former winners in this field. Nearly a third of the field are taking their first green flag in an IndyCar at Phoenix. Raul Boesel sits ready. There's Stefan Johansson and Adrian Fernandez. Look at the giant crowd as the balloons drift across the straightaway here and making his last start here. So many memories for Mario Andretti. So at Phoenix, we are ready to go racing. We'll be back with the start right after this. Rolling on the parade laps here at Phoenix. There are some other very special stories here today. Let's go again to Gary Gerald.
The learning curve for Honda and their entry to IndyCar has been extremely tough. They knew it would be, but they're disappointed that they're starting 20 and 22nd today with Mike Groff and Bobby Rahal. The problem, horsepower, the lack of it on the ovals. They're down 10 miles per hour here in straightaway speed, but they're confident. Bobby Rahal says our goal today is to finish in the top 6.
A young man we want to keep our eye on is Jimmy Vasser. Jimmy finished 4th in the opening round in Australia. He finished 3rd here last year. He's been among the quickest in all the testing leading up to this race. He qualified 11th. They had handling problems, but look for Jimmy Vasser to move to the front.
All All right, as the field begins the pace lap now, here's what's on the line. The race record held at 138 miles an hour. And the pit stop probably should hit in at about the 64th lap. But, of course, that depends on the yellow flags. And there is what the track looks like. That little dog leg close to you. We're looking from the backside over to the front. Is what can be so difficult. Now the field begins to align itself. You can see them there. The front 3 rows are already well aligned. And the pole sitter, Paul Tracy, his first oval pole, looking very strong this season, looking for a championship. But look alongside him, Jacques Villeneuve. By the way, the pronunciation has changed at the request of Jack himself and of other members of his teams. I know we've been calling his uncle Jacques Villeneuve for years, but this is the way we do it. Off of the 4th turn. They look for the green flag. Jim Swintal has it. And we'll see if he gives it to the field as they come down. They look nicely aligned here. 200 miles lie ahead as the green comes out. Paul Tracy sweeps across the front. Nigel Mansell comes up into the 2nd row. Nigel moves into 2nd place. 3 wide as they come off of the corner.
And you can see that Villeneuve, the lack of experience, he backed right off, but Boesel was one of those who got a superb start.
As Tracy flashes across the line, this is the first time since 1988 that the pole sitter has actually led the first lap. So it's Tracy, followed by Nigel Mansell, and then Villeneuve, and then the 2nd Penske car of Emerson Fittipaldi. Al Unser Jr. is working his way up through the field, so is Robbie Gordon.
Tracy last year was in total control of this race, and he threw it all away trying to lap back markers. He has matured, he tells us, because it is so easy to make mistakes here because the speeds are so high. He'll be in traffic before too long.
Remember the accident in final practice yesterday. The video originally looked very much like this as Villeneuve began to challenge Mansell. Now it's a fight for 2nd place on the race course. Villeneuve is a rookie, so is Mansell at this track.
Villeneuve rebuilt this car. They were not that happy with the other spare car that they brought here, so the work went into trying to build the car that he was confident with, because you need confidence on a racetrack like this. Look how close he is still to Mansell.
Villeneuve looking for the opportunity now. Over to the front side again. Fittipaldi patiently waits, running in 4th place. Mario Andretti is 5th. Teo Fabi 6th. Robbie Gordon 7th. Now he's stuck right up in the back. Villeneuve darts to the inside, lets him know that he's there. Through 3, through 4. Laps being turned here at just over 20 seconds a lap.
There's the traffic. Jeff Andretti in the Euro Motorsports car backed by Gillette for this event moves over and lets the leaders through.
5 laps. 5 laps, and the leaders are already overhauling the back of the field. That's another reason they call him a bull ring.
Look what happened there. The traffic allowed Mansell to draw out 5 or 6 car lengths on Villeneuve, but we'll see will he close back up. There's Mario.
Mario Andretti, he runs in 6th place. The next car in the lineup is actually Teo Fabi, the bright yellow car, so Mario is already happy. Now Robbie Gordon has moved in. There's Teo. Robbie Gordon got around Teo as Teo begins to slow a little bit. Looks like Teo got caught up in traffic. So Robbie Gordon in the Valvoline car now comes up into 6th place.
And it was Jeff Andretti who was caught in the mix there. He didn't know whether to go high or to go low. He stayed in the middle, and they went round both sides. There's little Al, has not had a very good weekend here so far.
Al Unser Jr. has been struggling. He now runs in 8th place behind Scott Goodyear and tries to challenge Scott. The leader, shades of last year, remains Paul Tracy. He led 151 laps here, only to end his day against the wall.
Probably a bit of a surprise to most people that Al Jr. really did not star heavily in Australia and has struggled here this weekend. Al Jr. is a slow starter. He likes to build up confidence in this car before he begins to push it. So, as of yet, he has not begun to hang it out.
Al Unser Jr., though, has finished 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th in the last 5 years. Is this time for a first? As he tiptoes his way up through the field. Whoa.
Look at Scott Goodyear, qualified 10th, wasn't happy. The stagger grew way too much on the